Welcome to Hoedown History, where we explore the history and legends of America's old-time and bluegrass music.
This tune originated, I think, in England, but it was one of my daddy's favorite tunes, one called The Forked Deer.
We're listening to fiddler J.P. Fraley and his version of Forked Deer. It's one of the oldest and most widely circulated fiddle tunes in American old-time music. It's a joyful tune, and no matter who plays it, I find that it always puts everyone in a pretty good mood. But I always wondered about the history of this tune. Is it actually about a deer? Why is it called forked? Well, we'll explore that, as well as the story of the man who made the first commercial recording of the tune. Oh, and stick around to the end because, well, while Mr. JP traces this tune's origin to Old England, he might not be that far off. You'll have to listen to it for yourself. It's pretty cool. Now, this tune has been played and documented across much of the United States for generations. We know the tune is fairly old, with earliest documented mentions showing up in a couple of places dating to the mid-1800s. We know it was played before the Civil War in Alabama, having been recalled by Alfred Benners in his book, Slavery and Its Results, who recounts the tune being performed by a slave, the fiddler, Jim Pritchett of Marengo County. It also turns up in a poem from about 1885 by Richard L. Dawson entitled The Hoosier Fiddle. But the earliest known printed version of the tune appears in George Knauff's Virginia Reels, Folio 1, issued in Baltimore in 1839. Remarkably, the melody as printed there sounds pretty much like the way fiddlers still play it today, suggesting the tune may have already been well established before Knauff notated it. And since that first publication, Forked Deer has appeared repeatedly in print for nearly 2 centuries. While most musicians treat it as a straightforward 2-part tune, some early brag fiddlers expanded it with elaborate variations. Over time, these embellishments became additional parts, and I've found several versions of this tune with 3 or more parts. Most famously in Kentucky fiddler J.W. Day's 5-part version, recorded way back in 1928, which is pretty far back, but it's actually not the tune's earliest recording we have. We'll get to that in a bit. But first, let's discuss the name. Now, like a lot of old fiddle tunes, Forked Deer carries a name that sounds perfectly clear, right up until you stop and ask what it actually means. And there are a bunch of theories on this one. The most widely accepted explanation is geographical. Forked Deer is the name of a river system in western Tennessee, the Forked Deer River, which splits into North, Middle, and South Forks before flowing into the Mississippi. It has been suggested by some that the title Forked Deer, or in this case, Forked Deer, is a corruption of Fauquier Deer, referring to the name of the county in northern Virginia. Or even simply, forked might refer to a deer's antlers. Or, as some others have suggested, the term forked deer may be referring to a 2-point buck, which would be considered prime venison meat. John Hartford and Pat Sky have speculated the original title may have been a corruption of the term forked air, meaning a crooked melody, or a melody that branches or forks into different parts or variations. Now, maybe this will be more obvious to some of my Ozark area listeners, but forked also was, or still is, a common Ozark term for being romantically excited. The word is always pronounced forked in 2 syllables. The veteran Arkansas fiddler Lon Jordan recounts, "I've seen nice young girls leave a dance when the fiddler began to play Forked Deer." Because the innuendo was widely understood at the time, he always called it forked horn deer when ladies were present. Buster Fellows once played it on a radio program, but the announcer was careful to call it frisky deer. The first commercial recording of Forked Deer came at a turning point in American music history, when record companies were just beginning to recognize the value of Southern old-time music traditions. Eck Robertson cut the first commercial recording of this tune in 1922, but it was never issued. The tune would have to wait another year before a different fiddler would be the first to release it to the world. In 1923, the unexpected success of Fiddlin' John Carson's recording for OK Records revealed a strong market for what was then being called old-timer hillbilly music. Sensing opportunity, Vocalion Records began searching for their own authentic Southern Appalachian musicians. In 1924, company representatives traveled through Tennessee looking for musicians of their own to record. One such stop was in Morristown, Tennessee, where a Vocalion scout visited the home of one Ambrose Stewart, better known throughout the region as Uncle Am. At the time, Stewart was in his early 70s, having been born shortly before the Civil War. A colorful figure, he was described by contemporary writers as a man who, quote, drank corn liquor, smoked cigarettes, enjoyed the company of women, and played a mean fiddle. Uncle Am couldn't read music, but like most traditional fiddlers of his generation, he played entirely by ear. Born in Hamlin County near Morristown, Stewart grew up in a region shaped by military movement. As a boy, he learned tunes dating back to the Civil War from soldiers passing through eastern Tennessee. As an adult, he became widely known across eastern Tennessee and the southern Appalachian region. He played for dances, local gatherings, and fiddle contests, earning a reputation as a formidable competitor and an encyclopedic keeper of older tunes. Though widely known as a fiddler, Stewart didn't depend on music for his living. He worked as a salesman for a safe and vault company. Music was something he carried alongside his work, not instead of it. An interesting side note I came across: Uncle Am's brother George was a nationally known evangelist. Together with figures like Sam P. Jones and riverboat captain Thomas Ryman, they helped lead revival meetings in Nashville. These gatherings were held at the Union Gospel Tabernacle. In 1904, following Ryman's death, the tabernacle was renamed in his honor, as some of you may have guessed, the Ryman Auditorium, later to become one of the most important venues in American music history. Just as important as his playing was his generosity. After performances, Uncle Am was known to ask if anyone in the audience knew someone who loved this music but maybe was too sick or too poor to attend. When such a person was identified, Stewart often gave away his entire night's earnings to help them. So in 1924, after knocking on his door, the Vocalion Records scout invited Uncle Am to New York City to make a record. For a man in his 70s, whose musical education predated recorded sound itself, the journey north was remarkable. During a single recording session, Stewart recorded 14 sides for Vocalion. Among them were the first known commercial recordings of Cumberland Gap and Forked Deer. You're listening to the first recording of Forked Deer by Uncle Am Stewart right now. Through this 1924 recording, Uncle Am Stewart was able to preserve an old sound, one shaped by war, memory, and community, one of the earliest voices captured at the dawn of recorded Appalachian fiddle music. Just 2 years after making this recording, Uncle Am Stewart died in 1926. At his funeral, mourners left a final tribute, a basket of flowers containing a decorated fiddle and a broken bow, a symbol that a great fiddler had come to rest. Now, while we have a bunch of documentation of Forked Deer going back to the mid-1800s, there is one prominent song collector, R.P. Christison, who has suggested that the tune bears considerable resemblance to an even older Scottish tune. We know this Scottish tune was floating around the Americas for a while because it was also printed in some American collections as well in the 1800s. Now, this tune is most commonly attributed to a one Mr. John Lowe. Born sometime in the 1700s, he was a dancing master from Marykirk, Kincardineshire in Scotland. This famous reel first appeared way back in 1794 in Archibald Duff's collection, under the title Rachel Ray's Rant, better known today as Rachel Ray. This tune was popular across Scotland and beyond, and much like Forked Deer is known for its distinctive rhythm and joyful feel. I'll play a cut from Forked Deer, followed by Rachel Ray, and you guys can decide if it sounds in any way similar. I don't know about you guys, but to my ears, Rachel Ray sounds almost identical to Forked Deer. So while old J.P. Fraley thought the tune came from England, maybe he wasn't that far off. Well, folks, that's all I got time for on Forked Deer. I hope you enjoyed this one. And again, thanks for listening, folks.